Hey guys, welcome back. So I was born in the early 70s, and even though it was a great time to be around, in places it was a little bit grim, and I was a real petrol head even back then. But the cars, they were a bit hard to fall in love with. But then came the 80s. The Ford Fiesta XR2, the Ford Escort RS Turbo, the Volkswagen Golf Mark One GTI, the Renault 5 GT Turbo, and one of my favourites, the Peugeot 205 GTI. And guess what guys, you can drive them all in Assetto Corsa. How cool is that? So I've got all the links in the description below for all of the hot hatches, these 80s cool hot hatches. Now I have also found a couple of cool UK tracks that I've added in there, and in the middle of the video I'm going to get onto high force and show you how to set up two-way traffic with the new CSP, and we're going to have some hot hatch racing fun on there. At the end of the video I've also got some really cool crashes. So we've just seen the XR2, which was early 80s boy racer's dream. 0 to 60 in 9 seconds at approximately 85 brake horsepower, but now we're onto something a little bit faster, and this is the Ford Escort RS Turbo, and this is a great little mod. So here I am racing around Pudsey. It's a fantastic little map with a supermarket, and this is proper boy racer stuff. This RS Turbo was in a very different league from the XR2, so this was 122 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds, which for mid-80s when this actually came out, 1986, that was a very quick car. I actually knew a number of guys that had these cars when I was about 20 years old, 22 years old, and they were getting them up to 250 brake horsepower, front wheel drive. This is the CVH engine and 5-speed gearbox. It used to break a lot of gearboxes and drive shafts, I can tell you, but an awesome car and a great little mod. So this is the Ford Escort RS Turbo. The next car needs very little introduction. This is the Golf GTI Mark One, and this is a great mod too, so do grab this one, it is fantastic to drive. So this was actually unveiled at the 1975 Frankfurt Motor Show by Volkswagen, and actually there's two versions of this. The later version with the 1.8 engine actually has 112 brake horsepower, and 0 to 60 is around 8 seconds depending on how it's tuned. So these are great fun and absolutely iconic now. And look at the interior, that check pattern. Obviously the check patterns actually come back in a lot of the newer Golf GTIs now. Absolutely iconic. So this is a great mod, do download it. This is the Golf GTI Mark One. The Renault 5 GT Turbo, this is from 85, 86 all the way through to the early 90s, and I so wanted to have one of these cars. One of my friends had one in the early 90s and he tuned it up a little bit, and it would beat any other car on the road. These will genuinely do 0 to 60 in low 7 seconds with a little bit of tuning, and that was phenomenally fast in the mid 80s. So this has got approximately 120 brake horsepower, do about 120 miles an hour as well, and the model is pretty cool, I must say. I had to hunt around a little bit for this model, but it is a great model. What I would do though is do double check the sound on it. Content Manager can fix the external sound, and I think I've played around with that a little bit to get this cool exterior sound. These did sound really cool in real life, so do make sure you check that out. This is the Renault 5 GT Turbo. Also on the video guys, you'll probably notice that there's a couple of different maps that you may not have seen. So just to go through these, the XR2 is on Green Trees Industrial, and again all these links are in the description below. The Golf GTI Mark One is on Evo Triangle, and that's set in Wales. Really cool track as well. We've got High Force that we're going to see later on, and we've also got Pudsey, which is the one around the supermarket. This, by the way, is Highlands by KUNOS, still one of the best tracks out there on Assetto Corsa. Last but certainly not least is the 205 GTI, and this is the GR version. Now, I know if you're a regular viewer of my videos, you'll have known that I've been hunting around for one of these, a good one in Assetto Corsa, and here it is. So the link is in the description with every other mod and every other track on this video. So the 205 GTI came out mid-80s in the 1.6 and the 1.9 version. Obviously the 1.9 had a little bit more power, but I think the jury's still out on which one is the best. People do like the 1.6 because it handles a little bit better apparently. The 1.9, I've owned one of those, absolutely fantastic. They drive just like little go-karts, and these did 0 to 60 in under 8 seconds and would do well over 115 miles an hour. So these were fantastic cars for, again, the mid-80s. Now we have all of these cars in one place, what are we going to do with them? Well, of course, we're going to race them around High Force. So High Force is a Northern England track. It's over 20 kilometers long. I've put the two-way traffic mod in the description below, but do make sure that when you install that, you actually copy it over manually into your root Assetto Corsa folder. Now we're going to be driving the XR2, as this is one of my favorite out of all of these mods. I think it's done really well. It sounds great, looks great. Also, when you're setting up the traffic, do make sure that you follow the instructions in CSP, and that's these instructions here. So your traffic on the latest version of CSP 1.71 or 1.72, you need to have these settings. Also, you'll notice when we start on this traffic that there are some great cars on here. So not only have I got some 1980s cars and some hot hatches, I've also got motorbikes and trucks. So the link for that is in the description below also. And do check out my recent video on Shotoko Highway, which is another example of how you can set traffic up on some of these great free roam tracks. So sit back and let me show you how the racing and the traffic work on High Force, especially when you've got bigger vehicles in. This is just how English traffic is sometimes, so this is really cool. So here we go. Well, that's certainly the problem with two-way traffic. Let's see if we can do some racing. I think here we're going to try and grab an RS Turbo and let's see if we can have a race. Ouch, terrible overtaking. Okay, let's try going the other way. Do remember as well, guys, that you can configure all of this traffic. So you can see the kind of cars I've got on here. You can actually configure how many cars there are on there for the randomizer, but also how many cars you want actually to spawn around you. If you are getting any crashes on your PC, it could be down to your CPU. Try reducing the number of cars, or it could be down to drivers or your version of CSP. So always make sure you've got one of the latest versions on there. I think that's enough dangerous maneuvers and overtaking for one day. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Now I'm going to leave you with some of the better crashes that I had. Enjoy. See you soon.